Live
Live
in the D with Mr.
BB.
BB.
It's Live in the D with Mr.BB every Thursday at 9 a.m. right here on WVI 107.3 Radio We Can See. And our guest is here, Mr. Lee Gaddis of Gaddis Gaming. I actually had a chance to sit with him before our interview, and he just gave me a lot of information here on his gaming system, Gaddis Gaming, and now we're ready to share it with you. Good morning, Mr. Gaddis.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing. Thank you for being here with us today. So, can you just tell us about your business? Just start off, just jump right into it. So, can you tell us about what you have for us today? And
Yeah. So, Gaddis Gaming was an outcropping of a way to bring people that were doing, like my own kids and stuff, that were doing computer games and having a family night where we could gather and do something communal as a family. So we had like a Thursday family game night where we were all, after dinner we would sit and have dinner. Then after dinner we would sit around and we would play a lot of board games and stuff like that. And then it took me back to a time when me and my dad would sit around and we would make, model planes when I was younger. So me and, my kids, we would do things like that, get into the hobby aspect of it, get them off the PlayStation, off the Nintendo, off the Xbox,
Right.
And get them into doing other things and broaden their minds. So I had an after-school program where we were talking about, Veterans Day and participation in that by African Americans, and the kids didn't know about the Tuskegee Airmen. They didn't know about the 761st Tank Battalion, the original Black Panthers. They didn't know about the Harlem Hellfighters. They didn't know about all these contributions that were made by African Americans to the efforts to bring liberty and justice to this country, and how that history is slowly being erased by neglect and by us not owning it and knowing about it. So for me, I saw it as a way to, number one, instead of just giving the kids in the after-school program, a book and saying, here, read about it, you need to know this, is important, I decided to use an edutainment approach. I decided to take all the information that they needed and I put it into a game. And when they started playing the game, they went out looking for more information, because each unit that they built needed to be about something in history. So they knew, well, this unit had tanks, and this unit had, a bazooka, and this unit had this and that, and they could build it. So they were using that as a way, I was using that as a way to reach them and get them to learn the history and to know about the African American contribution in World War I through the Harlem Hellfighters, and World War II through the 761st Tank Battalion, and understand that we were there.
Right.
They were all segregated units, from, the top to the bottom. So they could see themselves as being a part of that. And then I use that I use that as a model to create a business around manufacturing miniatures for the game. So, part of this is owning it, right? You have to own it all. So, instead of begging other companies to do it, I decided, here's an opportunity. I could make a company that showcases the African American effort. I can educate people. I can, have them have us represented in this growing market, in this growing community, and then I could also make a business where I can employ people, right? So growing that idea. Making a complete ecosystem. So the first thing that I did, that I came up with, that I designed a table to play on, and then a friend of mine said, "Oh, it'd be great. I'm looking for something just like that." So I gave it to him, and then he showed it to some friends, and they said, "Oh, we want one too." So after about the third one, I realized that there was a business model there, right? So I refined the design, I patented it, and I decided, well, if I'm going to be doing this, I might as well, make a company around it. So I took my graphic design business, which was Hero by Design Studios, and I did a DBA, Gaddis Gaming, to build on that business model. So Gaddis Gaming creates products for the leisure and entertainment industry. So I didn't want to limit it to just that one thing. So we had the table topper, which allows you to take any surface and convert it into a gaming table. We make the miniatures and we design the rules. So we created a complete ecosystem that involved in the whole hobby of gaming and war gaming specifically, so that we could teach history as an inroads to history. And a lot of that has to do with looking at other people. For example, there's a company called Ares out of France that made a game featuring the Tuskegee Airmen. And I'm like, okay, so it's been 75 years since World War II, and we have not done anything here in America to showcase it. But it takes a French company to make a game to honor those pilots that fought there and to preserve that history. So that was, again, that to me was the impetus to say, hey, you know, if I don't do it, you know, my family comes from 5 generations military,
Right.
you know, and I found that out because I was sitting around Thanksgiving dinner and we were watching a movie called Battle of the Bulge, and my grandfather said, oh, those are the wrong tanks. And I said, well, how do you know? He said, because, and my uncle said, because he was there. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what? And he goes, yeah, you know, he was in the 761st Tank Battalion. You know, he was a tank driver. You know, he was a part of the original Black Panthers. You know, their motto was come out fighting. So that led me on a journey to learn about my own family history, right? Going all the way back to Buffalo Soldiers. So, and we've had a family member in the service ever since then, up to my brother who fought in the Gulf War. So if I didn't know that history, and I'm sure there's a lot of other people whose families had that same type of experience where they don't know that history. They don't know that that crazy Uncle Rufus fought in Korea. They don't know, that maybe your granddad fought in Vietnam. They don't know that history. And I think we as African Americans with an oral history, we need to be able to tell those stories, and we need to be able to pass that history down. And it's so important. It's so important that we own that. Right? Because if we don't tell our story, nobody else is gonna. And the way that I was able to give back, even though I didn't serve, it was through this, and if I were, to go, one more day without being able to contribute something to that legacy that all these people sacrificed all their tomorrow so that I could have today, how sorry would I be if there was something I could do and didn't do something to honor that legacy? So for me, this is a passion project.
Right.
I don't want to go broke doing it, but I don't have to make a lot of money off of it because it's something that I do, from the heart. So to be able to create the company, to mold it, to form it, to be able to make it focused on an area that I think has been neglected in a billion-dollar industry, right. And we aren't represented there in the way that we should be. And the heroic deeds, when you actually learn the history of what happened with the Harlem Hellfighters and how they fought and how they survived and how they had an immaculate combat record unlike anybody else, and they were the first American unit to receive the French Medal of Honor, and multiple ones, so they spent the most time on the front line. So all of that research, all that history came about because I wanted to make sure that when I played a game, that people on the table, the miniatures on the table, represented people that look like me, and that opened up a whole nother world, So when we think about how we show up in the world, when you look at how African Americans are portrayed, in Japanese animation and in other forms of pop culture media, it's always the big, strong, tough black guy. Right. It's never the leader, right? It's never the tactical genius. It's never
the tech. The architect.
Right. It's always
to do with the brain. That's always just muscle.
It's always just muscle, right? Because that's how society sees us. But we have to see ourselves as being more than that. And if we project that and portray that and show that we are more than that, then I think that it becomes imperative on anybody that has the ability to do something about it, to do something about it. And I just had the ability, to do something at the time and in that space where we were not represented, right? So if I can occupy that space, if I can go to a convention, if I can go to a gaming convention, and I can bring something that shows black people who consume games, right?
Right.
And my family game night at home, we had Parker Brothers and Milton Badley, we had Monopoly, we had Risk, we had all those games, so we were consuming it, but we weren't producing, I feel, to the level of our consumption, right?
Exactly.
We weren't represented in a way that we should be represented as a people with the dignity and honor that I feel that these men deserve, and that my grandfather deserved, and his grandfather before him, and my father who fought in Vietnam, and all of the people who served, deserve to have deserve to be represented with dignity and with honor.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And again, you just gave like the whole spill of what the past of how your origin of that how the origin of your game came to be.
Yeah.
And not only, and you got me wanting to call my grandfather now, because I know he served, and I don't know which wars or what
Right.
tune he was
Right.
in for, but now you got me like really thinking the wheels are turning. Okay, so what was it that was it Desert Storm or
Right.
a couple of tunes that you fight for? And we see
What
such
theater did you fight in, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we see such little in the movies. There have only been really a handful of movies where black people were portrayed as
Yes.
the fighters and the warriors. It's the Tuskegee Airmen and Red Tails, the only two I can really think of.
Yeah, and then you
the
had
past few years.
Glory,
Right.
which was the American Civil War, But again, until black filmmakers started making less movies about Medea and more movies about these type of things, and these are great stories to be told.
Absolutely.
and they're historical. And I think Spike Lee did one, Road to Saint Anna, I think was one of his movies that portrayed black, but it wasn't really a combat movie. It was more of a murder mystery thing. But I mean, we need to have the same type of Saving Private Ryan movie for
Exactly.
black soldiers, that did that type of fighting. And I think it's long overdue, and there's more than enough talent out there to be able to do that.
Absolutely.
So this is a media that I don't have $10 million to go out and make a film.
No.
But I have a couple of $1,000s that I can put into a business and make sure that the miniatures are there and the gaming's there and the fun aspect of it is there, because it's edutainment. It's a way to take an entertainment medium, which is making a game, right? Designing a rule system, doing the hobby part of it, because I enjoy, painting the miniatures and stuff too, and be able to do that, and bring that to the table with an Afrocentric eye, right? To be able to say, yeah, okay, so we're playing Battle of the Balls. Well, here's the 761st Tank Battalion. My grandfather fought in that. Oh, yeah, all the soldiers are black because it was segregated at the time, right?
Exactly.
And if I do a Civil War game, well, I'm going to play a unit, of black soldiers, that fought during the Civil War, right? And put that on the table, versus having to play, the John Wayne version of the game that's given to us.
Exactly. Well, now with all that we're saying, I wonder, we could take a quick commercial break here, and I can just put up a presentation. And when we come back, can you kind of just show us a little bit of how to play the game? Because let me put that on there right quick.
Sure.
Because we have this, we have this set up right here. So can we get a quick snippet of just how to play?
Yeah. You want to do that after break?
Yep, after break. We'll be right back.
It's live.
Live.
In the D with Mr.
BB.
BB.
It's Live in the D with Mr.BB every Thursday at 9 a.m. right here on WVI 107.3 Radio We Can See. All right, so that was a little snippet of. That was a little snippet of Gaddis Gaming and the miniatures that we will see in a moment. And now we're gonna actually play and see how the game is played. So let's, without further ado,
Yeah.
here we are.
So what we have is you know, each game will come with a rule book, so you'll have the rules for it. We also have a miniatures, you know, so the box game, when it's in production, will come with the rules, the miniatures. You'll have dice, you'll have measuring tape, you'll have tokens. Everything you need to play the game will be in the box set. So what we do is that each unit, you know, is represented by a token. So at the start of each game, the tokens are put into a bag, and then you pull them out, and then each token represents a unit. So, and then you get to go. That shows who activates. There is a chess model built into this, so each unit has different abilities.
Right.
So right now, these are all infantry units. So let's say they're having an engagement. So I pulled a token. So the Harlem Hellfighters are activated, and then you get to decide what they want to do. So you can do 2 actions in each turn. You can move, or you can shoot, or you can do a double move, but you can't do a double shoot.
Right.
So let's say these guys have moved up, you know, from the edge of the table to this area to get cover, right? And they're going to fire at these guys that are in the house, which has even heavier cover. So there are 4 guys here. I'm going to roll 4 dice, and let's say they need a 3 or higher to hit. So they roll. I rolled 2 6s and a 5. And a 3. So all 4 hit. Right. So now the guys in the building have to roll to save against that. So because they're in heavy cover, because it's a building, they're harder to hit. You know, normally they would save on maybe a 5, right? But because they're in the building, that gives them +2 cover, so that would drop it down to 3. So on a 3 or better, they get to save.
Right.
So they're going to roll against those dice. You would roll. Oh, there's a 2. There's a 1. So 3 guys are dead.
Okay.
You know, they were standing near the open window, and they get taken out. And the game goes back and forth like that, where you pull to see who. It's a random activation system. So you would pull dice to see who goes next, and then you would activate a unit. Once all units are activated, the turn is over, and each game lasts about 6 turns. So you have 6 turns to achieve your objective, unless it's a special scenario with special rules. You get pluses and minuses to save and hit based upon cover.
Right.
And each unit will come with a stat card. You know, we have tanks, we have infantry, we have artillery, we have mortars. You know, all this is for World War I because it's based on the Harlem Hellfighters. But we also have one that's based on World War II for the 761st Tank Battalion. And then we have rule set for modern combat. So if you want to play Desert Storm or any other modern war theater. And then we have also in the future we'll be coming up with the rules for sci-fi near future, fighting on the moon, fighting on Mars, fighting in Proxima Centauri, you know, fighting in all the different places you want to fight at.
Right. Okay.
You know, so the rule systems take you there. It also allows people to be creative about what they want to do and what model ranges they want to collect and how they want to paint. So I don't want to restrict you on how you want to play. So if you want to play, you know, Congolese soldiers fighting, you know, during the colonial period, you can do that. If you if you want to play out west with buffalo soldiers, you know, you can do that. If you want to make up something and play in the far future, I just want to make sure that African Americans are represented in all aspects in every theater, because I want to see us in the future, right? Because
Exactly.
a lot of sci-fi games I play, it's all some blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy, and it's never us. You know, we're never represented.
And that's what I noticed, again, with you going back to what you were saying before, even in a lot of war movies. And I've noticed this more so with, I'm going way far back, with the middle-aged war movies, like it's always just platoons and platoons of Caucasian men, which is fine, but like there was it has to be some semblance of some African-American heritage somewhere in Civil Wars and
Well, this is what I'm saying.
in the future. I mean, we're here now, so how are we not going to be in the future?
Right.
So, yes.
So when you look at that, so when we look at that as a cultural phenomenon, we look at how how we're being portrayed and what stories are being told about us, it's because we're not at the table, right?
Exactly.
So you can get movies like Soul Plane made because no black people are there at the table deciding on what goes into the script, right? The reason the Black Panther looks the way it looks because it was black people at the decision-making process from beginning to end, right? And Marvel waited a long time before they made a movie with an all-black cast, right? So when we look at how, you know, who gets to tell that story, who makes the decision, you have to, you know, you have to be at the table when the decisions are being made.
Exactly.
And far too often in these large corporations and these large media companies, we're not at the table when the decision's being made, so other people get to decide what we look like and what stories are being told about us. And so, at least with this game, we're able to tell that story. And right now, we have a Kickstarter to fund further development of this, of these. And it ends today. So if people can get on and try to support us, it's called Shattered Commissions. And any support you could give us right now, we're about 40% funded. So if anybody, you know, could get on there and help, you know, help us fund the manufacturing of this. None of the money goes to me. It all goes back into the making this product the best that we can. Because another rap that we get all the time is that our products are less than, that our products are subpar, that the quality's not there. So I want to make sure that, and a lot of times that happens because we're underfunded.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yes.
so we don't have venture capitalists coming in putting millions of dollars, you know, into our ventures unless it's for rap. You know, they don't give us millions unless they're making billions.
Right.
You know,
Absolutely.
you know, so we have to make sure that this form of entertainment is also supported as well as rap and dance and all the other art forms that they want to entertain us, want us to entertain them in. So we want to make sure that this product is as strong as it can possibly be, that it's as polished as it can possibly be, and that it could reach as many people as it should reach. Because like you said, you know, even in your own family, you have people that served, but you don't know that story, right?
Right.
This is a way to start that conversation going. You know, by playing this game, we could do it in a non-judgmental manner. We're not passing judgment on anybody. We just want to be able to have fun, be able to get some education about what our contributions were, that's not diluted, you know, and to be able to pass those family stories down from generation to generation. So for me, this has become a generational struggle as well, to be able to make sure that my cousins and my second cousins and my grandkids, they all know about this and that I have left something for them to understand and to know about. So for us to be able to do that in a meaningful way, and to be able to create a game that's going to withstand the test of time and be able to pass down, you know, from family to family to family. And if anybody wants to come out and join us and play, please do. We're at Berkeley every Tuesday.
Okay.
Tuesday and Wednesday Tuesday we do game night. Wednesday is painting and hobby. So if you want to bring in and learn how to paint your miniatures, you can come in and do that. You want to learn how to craft terrain, you can come in and do that. And then we have an open game night Sunday afternoon from 3 until 9 out in Wixom. If you live out on the west side of Wayne County, you can come out there. That is Imperium Games on Wixom Road, right where the old Ford Wixom plant used to be at. And now there's an At Home and a Maynard's right across the street from it. So it's directly right off the Wixom Road exit and I-96. So, you know, please come out and join us. We'd love to teach you guys the game. We'd love to have you come out and experience this and bring the family. You know, it's a great way to indulge, you know, granddad and dad and get all the kids together.
Right.
You know, and the game makes everything equal,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
And if you have a chess club and you guys just want to mix it up, you know, come on out. And like I said, if anybody has the wherewithal and they want to be able to support us on Kickstarter, it's called Shattered Commissions, and it's a way to get this funded so we can get the game into a state that is, you know, that you would expect when you walked into a Target or a Toys R Us or any other place. You know, and the really sad thing is that we don't have a gaming store in Detroit. You know, there's no place where you can sit down and play board games in the Metro Detroit area. There's tons of them in the suburbs, but you know, that's a great opportunity for us to be able to get together and do something communal, in a very communal fashion. And I felt the same way when we had a lack of coffee houses, when there was no Starbucks in Detroit.
Right.
We didn't have, I really miss when we had coffee and cream on Livernois, because it was a great way for black people to get together and share ideas and network. And that was the real catalyst of coffee houses. It wasn't the fact that they sold coffee. It was the fact that here was a place that was, a nonpartisan location where, it was a neutral turf where everybody could get together and those ideas could be shared about things that we could do to uplift our community. So, and I think the game store could be another place to do that, where you can you can relax, you can be with somebody, we can re-engage in the social contract, we can do things to network our communities together and have fun doing it.
Exactly.
And also bringing this education part into it, about educating people about the Harlem Hellfighters and the Black Panthers and who knows how many other, and whatever group you want to make up that's fighting in the future.
Right.
I think honor, heroism, integrity, all those things are important to our community, and I think that we need to embrace that and own that just as well as we, they want to throw on us, oh, you're uneducated, you're a criminal, you must be violent, all of that,
Exactly.
is thrown on us. So we need to start, molding young minds into what they could be, and I think this is just one way that I felt that I could do it. I'm sure that other people have 1,000 other ways that they could do it, and the company that I'm creating is a way that this can live on beyond me, right?
Sir.
That
Yes, sir.
somebody else can pick up that mantle, and keep on going.
All right. Well, unfortunately, I'm sorry to have to cut it short because this is just such an intriguing and, like you said, edutainment, educating conversation, and just learning a lot in these short few minutes that we're here. But like I said, unfortunately, we're running out of time. So if you could just give us a little bit more, and then we have to go. But
Okay.
first, can you tell us how to contact you?
Right. So it's gaddisgaming@gmail.com if you want to email me.
Okay.
All of our products that we have for sale are at gaddisgaming.com. Use your Google Foo and just type in Gaddis Gaming, GADDIS Gaming, GAMING.com. And that'll take you to everything that we have. We're at Mini War Room on Twitter. We're on Google Plus. We're on Facebook. So we have the Detroit Tabletop Gaming League, which is a way for Metro Detroiters and Detroiters to be able to get together and game. So if you want to play a game, you could, and you're on Facebook, go to the Detroit Tabletop Gaming League. And that'll network you with everybody else that plays in the area, so you won't be alone. And like I said, all our products are available on gaddisgaming.com, and we'll be able to expand the line over in 2018 and be able to bring more products to you with like I said, we'll be able to look at this through an Afrocentric lens.
Absolutely, absolutely. And one last question before you get out of here.
Sure.
Can you just give us any advice you would give not only someone who wants to get into their own game creating and making and learn their civil inherent history, but entrepreneurship in itself?
Right. So follow your passion. You have to do something that you like, because if you're an entrepreneur, you're going to spend 100 hours a week doing it. So if you're going to do it, it better be something that you enjoy.
Right.
Right? So this is a passion project for me. This comes from the heart for me. This comes from me knowing the history of my family. So if there's something that you want to do and there's something you really love and you can focus on it, focus. Don't get distracted. Don't let people put you out your game, because so many people, when I first started my company, were like, oh, that's a dumb idea. Nobody's going to buy that.
That's what they always say.
Always say, right?
Yeah.
To try to take you off your game. So stay focused. $53,000 later in sales, I think it was a good idea.
Exactly. and not only that, it's still growing.
It's
just the beginning.
This is just the beginning. So, so like I said, I hope we can get the support from the community that we need to make this happen. Like I said, we have less than 24 hours to make this happen. So, we need to start supporting each other, and we need to start thinking about how we can give back to the community. And this is just one way that I felt that I could give back.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, thank you for coming on today. And again, that information is gaddisgaming.com and gaddisgaming@gmail.com to contact you.
Yep.
And I look forward to speaking with you more on this.
Yeah. Well, you guys are welcome to come out and play with us anytime. We'll run you through a game.
All right. Yes, sir. Thank you. We'll be right back right here on Live in the D with Mr. BB.